I know. I know. I know it itches and hurts. I know. This little girl's had a rough 14 hours or so. She got bit, you can see that right there on her muzzle, by what I now believe was a young moccasin. You can see the swelling in her jowl. About 4 o'clock Friday afternoon, my wife called me at work. Said the dogs had gotten into a snake. What she thought was a copperhead. So I rushed home, and I got to tell you, I married up. My wife came out, got the dogs off the snake, killed the snake herself, and was treating the dogs when I got home. Both Scout and Luke got bit. We think Luke got bit first. And so I immediately gave Scout some Benadryl. You give them 1 milligram per pound, so she's about 60 pounds. I gave her about 60 milligrams. And that's for the swelling, so that a lot of dogs that are bit by poisonous snakes actually die because they can't breathe. And started calling vets. Of course, it was closing time. And I was told by the one emergency vet that in another town that we could take her to, that it was going to be $100 to look at her, $500 for the anti-venom per dose. And I'm sorry, that's a lot of money. So I decided to treat her myself. And so I started putting Benadryl in her. We separated the two dogs. Now, Scout's only a year and about 4 months. Luke is 13. And when I got up under the house where he was, or under the porch, and looked at him, I didn't think he was going to make it through the night. I couldn't get him to take any Benadryl, because when he tried to eat the hot dog that had Benadryl in it, his mouth was so swole that it just fell out. So after I felt like I got Scout stable, I roared up to town to the CVS and bought some topical Benadryl. And I came back, and what I did then is I rubbed Luke's ears with the topical Benadryl to try to get some Benadryl into him. That must have worked, because I was checking him about every 2 hours all night long. And at a certain point, somewhere around, I don't know, 11 o'clock, 11 p.m., after 2 heavy treatments of topical Benadryl, Luke suddenly ate. And he ate all the food I'd given him, and it was laced with Benadryl, so he got a good dose. And like I said, I checked him every 2.5 hours. Gave Scout more Benadryl somewhere during halfway through the night. This morning, Scout looks a little more swollen, not a lot, but a little. I have since researched it and really looked at the snake, the body, and I'm not a snake expert, but anybody will tell you that a juvenile cottonmouth and a juvenile copperhead are very similar looking, with their little yellow tails. And I've decided now it was a cottonmouth, which helps to explain that, because a cottonmouth chews. And what my wife said happened is they found the snake, and Luke got bit first, and then Scout, dummy that she is, got a hold of it and was running around with it in her mouth, and the snake was just burrowed into her muzzle. And it took my wife quite a bit to get Scout to let go of it. And then of course she killed him, chopped his head off. Like I said, I married up. And Anyway, so this morning, Luke is looking good. I'll try to get a photo of him. Matter of fact, he's looking so good that somewhere about 2:30 in the morning, I went out to check on him, and Luke wasn't under the house, under the porch. Sorry. So I went looking for his body. I figured he wandered off somewhere to die. And you know what he'd done is he had forced his way through the gate and was with Scout. And they were napping on a Benadryl nap. So this morning I separated them again after feeding them, and I started amoxicillin. I have some fish mox. If you're not familiar with that, you can look it up. And after reading up on it, I discovered that amoxicillin was something that is prescribed to dogs for bacterial infections, and I'm worried about a bacterial infection now. And so I started them on 250 milligram of fish mox a day. She already had an appointment, Scout did, with the vet for next Tuesday. This is Saturday. And that was for shots. I don't know that we'll be getting shots now, but we're going to keep the appointment. And I imagine I'm going to take some crap from the vet for not going to the vet with this. But you know what? It's my dog, and it's my lifestyle, and it's my decision. I think she's going to be okay. They say the first 3 days is what tells it. But I'm going to do everything I can because I love that girl. I do. And I'm not saying what I've did is right for anybody else, but if anyone else runs into this, I recommend that you have Benadryl on hand, both topical and pill form. And you know, for people, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have the liquid form. That stuff's always sweet because it's geared toward children, so I don't think a dog would want to eat it. But what the heck, stuff's not expensive. And I have the fish mox, and I think that's a pretty good idea if you can get it from a pet supply and have that stuff on hand.